Hello guys and welcome to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. We are here to talk about the latest chapter of One Piece 1082. A really incredible chapter which showed us what happened in the Marines, the Cross Guild organization, and also with the revolutionaries and how Sabo ended up after 1060. With everything that's happening in the past chapters, I can tell you that many don't miss the Straw Hats, but I do. I think we've seen enough outside of Egghead and now it's time for Oda to take us back. Anyways, this chapter is a parallel to 1058 where we got to see the Cross Guild first in the middle of the chapter, then the Revolutionary Army at the very end. In this video, we'll go through all of that in details. Like the video to support my channel, subscribe so you won't miss any of my future goated reviews, and without further ado, let's get started. This chapter starts with a big news. A sad news that T-Bone, a Vice Admiral of the Marines, got assassinated. He was a good guy and was known for his kindness with everyone. He had the best mentality in the Marines when it comes to what they are normally supposed to represent. Justice, but not the villains. Oda doesn't normally kill his characters, but these past chapters have been different. He killed Idzo, Achira Doji, Cobra, and now T-Bone. Maybe he's trying to tell us that we're in the final saga of One Piece and his world is actually darker than we think. Both sides of this world he created has villains and good people, and that's T-Bone's case on the Marine side. But which side is actually right though? Now both have a system that puts a bounty on the other. Does the Marines have the right to determine what justice is? No. Doflamingo's quote on who is justice has more meaning today, with the fact that a civilian, who is supposed to be protected by a supposedly justice, ends up killing it to get more food and money for his family. This part of the chapter also explains how the argument that the Marines are equal to 4 Yonko crews is totally wrong. If that's the case, then the Admirals will be considered the same level as the Yonkos and the Vice Admirals would be the same level as the Commanders, following the hierarchy, which doesn't make sense. Can you really explain how this nonsense killed the Vice Admiral, who is one of their best fighters and are right below the Admirals in the hierarchy? I don't think so. Let's just wait to get more details on how this might have happened. Now let's get into the next part of the chapter where we actually got to see the man who killed T-Bone. I hear some people say that T-Bone is so nice that he can let himself be killed, but I don't see it that way. That's just impossible in my opinion, and I'll explain. The guy is literally loved by everyone, in and outside the Marines. He has friends, maybe family. He can't just give away his life like that. So now the guy who killed him is being welcomed by Buggy and the pirates around, telling him how much of a great man he is. Buggy is also telling him that he's in danger because if the Marines catch him, it's over for him. I don't know if the Cross Guild would end up being on the good side, meaning Luffy's, Dragon's, or whoever's side we think are right in the final war coming up. However, I think this man will end up seeing his family again. His situation is making me think that the Cross Guild might end up joining hands with the Revolutionary Army. First of all, Dragon's cause is to make this world into a better place, so if the Cross Guild end up accepting this poor man to join them, and as we see the Cross Guild is against the world government, it only makes sense for them to join hands with Dragon, who does the same thing, just like we've seen at the end of the chapter, where he accepted a lot of people from Lulusia Kingdom, saved nations, and is also against the world government. Another reason why they might make an alliance would be the connection between Iwankov and Crocodile. They seem to have a past together and Iwa keeps his biggest secret. The question here is, how did they know each other? If Iwa is on Dragon's side, who is against the world government, and that Croco and Iwa knew each other to the extent of one keeping the other's biggest secret, a possible alliance might take place. Plus, I don't think it's a coincidence that both the Cross Guild and the Revolutionaries were put in the same chapter twice, just like I mentioned earlier. The Cross Guild, no matter how you want to see it, is not as strong as any Yonko crew, so joining hands with the Revolutionaries would be the best thing for them. Their only top fighters are Mihawk and Crocodile. As we know, Croco was after Pluton, so he might help Dragon to get it and attack the world government with it. Now let's talk a little about Buggy D Clown's ambition to become the Pirate King. Some people are saying Oda might end up giving that to him, but that's impossible. Luffy the protagonist has been fighting so many villains and saying I will become the Pirate King all along his journey just for Buggy this stupid clown to become Pirate King over him? Nah, that's impossible. I know Oda for sure is not going that way. Don't even think about it. Buggy is a goat and is Oda's favorite character, but it's never gonna happen. Now I want to open a small parenthesis and talk about Mihawk. People are calling him a fraud, which he isn't, because we know what he can do. The problem with him is his fans because they mostly think that he can beat Shanks. The same Shanks that became one of the Yonkos, who are considered the 4 strongest pirates in One Piece. Mihawk is just not close to Shanks, and I'll talk about all the reasons why I think that way in a special video about him, but I'll tell you 1 to 2 words about it. He clearly don't have the mentality to become the Pirate King, which I think he doesn't want to be anymore because it's impossible for him to go that far. If Mihawk was stronger or even equal to Shanks, he wouldn't have said what he said in this chapter. People are trying to defend it so bad, saying that Mihawk cannot take on all 3 Yonkos at a time, but that's not what he said. He was just talking about if Buggy really thinks that they can take down all the Yonkos one by one, and that's what he's saying here. In chapter 1058, he was talking to Crocodile about how they both can't trust anyone anymore. I believe he went through something in the past which makes him want to keep his distance with people and weaken his mentality. That same mentality he had back when he wanted to become the Pirate King. So since he didn't fight Shanks or anyone close to Shanks for 12 years, Mihawk cannot be stronger than Shanks. He only has greater sword skills than him because he lost his dominant arm and had to become stronger and stronger to the point of competing with Whitebeard, while Mihawk was just chilling in his castle with no competition. Alright, I'm going to talk more about Mihawk in a special video explaining his powers and where I scale him. I just feel like I had to bring this side of him in the review, and the fact that we're in the final saga where we are getting all the big characters showing us what they really can do, just like in the recent chapter with Shanks and Garp. Now let's finish with the last part of the chapter where we got to see Sabo, who made it alive from Luzia Kingdom and joined the Revolutionary Army in their headquarters. We all thought Sabo took that attack head on in chapter 1060, but he didn't. And just like he said, he made it on the ship with the civilians and left. We all knew it's impossible for Sabo to die at that moment because it wouldn't make sense at all. And also, Oda even left us a hint that Sabo left the destroyed island already because they all looked like they were looking back when the island got destroyed. Sabo will tell him everything he knows, but I don't think we'll get those infos from Sabo himself. But once we get to the final war of One Piece. Now it's time for Dragon to make his move and show us what he really can do. Alright, that's the end of my review. I really hope you liked it. Facing my mic talking about this masterpiece dropped by Oda and to let you know about my theory about the future of the Cross Guild was a pleasure. Anyways, I really hope you loved this video, and if so, subscribe to my channel and join the crew. Sayonara.